So you're doing your world building, right? And there's a cool piece of technology or just a method of travel or communication that you really like, but you're not sure how to build logic around it so it makes sense for your world. What can you do? Where can you go to figure out how to solidly place this thing that you like that may not really have a purpose in your world building so it makes sense? Today on the StoryPod podcast. Come on in, bestie. Welcome to StoryPod, where we do the doing of story development together. Brought to you by Creative BFF. Welcome. Listen, Ash here. Okay, Ashley here, your Creative BFF. Obviously, I'm in motion. We're still walking, girl. We're still walking. So get on up and get you some steps. All right. Let's be healthy together. Okay. Let's be active together. And in the meantime, if you're writing something and you're a little stuck, you have a question and you need a Creative BFF, listen, I volunteer as tribute. Please feel free to shoot me your question at ash@creativebff.com via email, or you can go to my website, creativebff.com, and you can go to the contact section and leave me a cute little message there. Either way, make sure the subject line says story. I almost tripped right there. Story question, so I don't delete it or ignore it. But here we are once again answering a question from Reddit, because that is what we love to do. Okay. And the answer to this particular question could seem perhaps a little obvious, or maybe it's not obvious, maybe it's not obvious, or maybe it is, but it doesn't hurt to think about and plan for these things, right? So let me go ahead and read the question and then we'll chat a little bit. Okay. So the question is from the r/world building subreddit: why Zeppelins instead of planes? So I have this fantasy world where air travel is a better option than water travel because any trip on the ocean requires a sacrifice/offering to the ocean god. So to make trips faster, the world uses Zeppelins for cross-continental travel. So, real explanation why Zeppelins. I like them. But I'm wondering if there could be an in-universe explanation of why they don't use planes. So, to provide a direct answer to this particular question, all you have to do is make it so that either planes weren't invented or we're in a time where there's not the resource in order to support airplanes. And so Zeppelins, or the flow of, technological development in your world lent itself to Zeppelin travel as opposed to air travel. And that kind of can tie into, genres like, you can think of like steampunk type of genre where, isn't it like based off of steam power as opposed to electric power, things like that. So it gives the world a different kind of flavor, right? So that is like the quick and dirty answer, not dirty, but the quick and easy answer to, why Zeppelins instead of planes. They haven't invented them yet, or if they did, they're not feasible for travel. It's too much resource to travel in that way, or your continent doesn't have it and others do. And you've already built a world, this poster specifically has already built a world where it's like, okay, there are, mythical creatures in existence that are interacting with the peoples of the world, right? So it's not, outside of the realm of possibility that this is the way society has developed. But can we think of some more broad, general places that we can go to begin building the logic around it? So one place, like I kind of suggested in my answer, is like, let's look at the history of how your societies have developed. What resources do they have? What needs do the people have? Because I feel like a fair chunk of advancement, technological advancement and the like, scientific advancement and things, a lot of it can at least be driven by the needs of society, right? And there's other reasons, curiosity, other stuff, just, whatever, other reasons for why we have technological or scientific, whatever types of advancement. But I must say a good percentage of it is probably needs that people need to solve, problems that need to be solved, right? So think about the needs of society. Think about what's available in the world. Think about the religious views, the religions that are in play in your society. Think about the other forces that you have in play, like, for example, the mythological gods that need sacrifice. What other technologies or magical powers or things are in play in your world? And that is probably going to develop, why we're still using the steam engine instead of a car. Well, and I don't know if this is actually the reasoning in steampunk, but we're going to go with, well, we're still using steam engines and trains and that kind of stuff because, we never invented or discovered or whatever, learned how to harness electricity. Or even if they did, they put it to use in different ways. And steam engines were just the best, or steam powered whatever was just the best option for the direction that society is going. Could also be that the values of your society shaped technological advancement. For example, using this question, the Zeppelins, maybe, yes, there was a practical reason where it's like, okay, it's just quicker to go by air rather than go by sea, unless you're specifically unless there's somewhere you can only reach, whatever reasons, but you're going by air, but we don't necessarily want to shoot through the air like super speedy, but we like the luxurious feel of floating amongst the clouds. And it's, because our culture has this sense of, peaceful, slower-ish, we still want to, it's faster to go by air, but, we want to take in the sights and we want to luxuriate amongst the clouds. And it's just, this is whatever. So think about the morality and the ideology of your society that would determine, because basically humans are driving the technological advances, right? Any other places to look? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Cultures, their culture, mythologies, religions, resources that are available, the history of the world, perhaps even things like the history of conflict between the nations. For example, perhaps there's been so much war that, we could be, this Zeppelin time could be in a time post, present, where we do have airplanes and stuff, but wars have basically wrecked technology, or technology and advancement is very tightly regulated or controlled because of what unchecked, experimentation or whatever did to the world. So there's only, we only allow for specific types of advancement, and anything that kind of even hints to what almost destroyed us last time. No, you don't get to do it. Sorry, hit my mic. So these are things that you can think about as you're trying to find a logical reason for your world to have this item instead of that item. Why do we use tin can and a string to communicate as opposed to, cell phones and computers? Why are we using an abacus instead of a calculator, So those are the places. Look, a little quick one, how long have we been here? Almost 10-minute jaunt. Okay. Hope you got 1,000 steps. All right. And I will see you next week for another one, girl. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining me as usual. Also, before I sign off here, let me know, where would you go? Girl, I was jumping off here too fast. I think me walking has had me determination, yes, straight to the point, get it done. No rambling and talking. I talk too much. Anyway, let me know what you would answer, how you would approach this question. How do you approach putting in stuff that you like, but making it feel like it fits in your world, and it's not just, oh, obviously this is a random thing that the author liked, but it doesn't really have a place in their world. You know what I'm saying? Let me know down below, and have a good rest of your day.